Hello everyone, this is Twinless Twin, and I'm bringing you another VOD review today. Today we are reviewing a Patreon who submitted a match, Bendito Uranio. I'm sorry, I hope you got your name right. But let's go ahead and hop into the match. They did have their own commentary, so that will be helpful in seeing what they have to say. I think it's actually one game, so we'll go ahead and check this out.
Hello everyone, here BenditoUranio from the Discord, and I'm reviewing a
Well, I got their name right. Awesome.
gameplay I did yesterday. First of all, sorry for my English. English is not my mother tongue. I'm from Spain, so maybe I said wrong some words or expressions, and sorry for that. Okay, uh, we played against
Okay, obvious mulligan.
this
No
is a new
lands.
opponent. We didn't know what he played, but obviously I can keep this hand, so I decided to move. I draw this hand, and without knowing which deck my opponent plays, seeing he has a mulligan to 6 card, I decided to take down one Ragavan because I was on the draw also. So if the opponent is strong or living in, I'm going to see it in the first turn, and then I can play Ragavan. It's
Yeah, I definitely agree with this choice here. I think especially on the draw, Ragavan, you definitely don't want two of them because there are too many times where, you might not even want to play the first Ragavan and having a second stuck in your hand. The other card you could definitely consider putting back here is Unholy Heat, and I think this kind of becomes a play draw thing, or maybe might be Bolt, probably Unholy Heat. Um, Bolt is just nice if you are playing, if you end up having to be aggressive and racing against a linear deck. But on the play, I think that you're closer to putting back a removal spell. On the draw, having the extra removal spell is really nice. You could be playing against a deck like Scam or Hammer or the Mirror. Just a lot of decks, Yawgmoth, a lot of decks where you want to have that extra removal spell. So I like this decision to put back a Ragavan on the draw. On the play, I think the decision changes.
If not, I'm not going to play Ragavan the first turn. So I decide to put one Ragavan down and keep two removal spells that are going to be more useful in most of cases. So here the opponent starts, he plays playing into Jitterbrood, so at this moment I know it is hammer time. Uh,
Yep, it is Hammer. I agree. And it's always good when you're playing Murktide to immediately start to try to guess. Sometimes you can see a card and, that's interesting. Like, I don't really know exactly what that is. If they don't, scam a grief turn one, then you know it's scam. But sometimes they make a play that leaves some ambiguity. But even when there is ambiguity, I think that you should always be trying to start to narrow down what deck you think they're playing and at least making plays informed by that decision. So if they play a fetch turn one and pass, like look at what the fetch is and then think about what decks can play that fetch. If it's a, black fetch, then it could be scam. But if it's red fetch, like say it's red white, it's probably not scam because scam only plays black based fetches, so they can fetch a swamp to play Blood Moon. So that's something you can glean. They play Arid Mesa, they're less likely to have Bowmaster because it's probably not Scam, right? Those small things can help impact your decision. Now, Arid Mesa could still be a Ren and 6 deck, but I think that those decks don't play Arid Mesa as much. Um, but yeah, stuff like that is actually really important to look at. So I feel like, I mean, Gingerbrute is kind of obviously Hammer, but just thought I'd take this to chance to bring that up.
okay, now I'm happy to keep both removal spells in my hand.
Yep.
Now, this is interesting because it is related with the last
Oh,
video
okay, let's
that
hear why.
Tristan upload with keep your plan in hand, in mind, and go your plan, do your plan. So here my plan was obviously remove their creatures, his creatures. So he can't attack me. I don't know why I take one damage from the DJ Brute. Maybe it doesn't matter, but
Okay, so let's slow down here because I wanted to hear what Bendito had to say, but I think a couple things here. So we had force and negation, an iteration in hand, right? And then we drew preordain. We saw preordain on top with the bauble and unholy heat. So they played Gingerbrute turn one off of a plains, and they did mold a six. We don't know what's the contents of their hands. However, we do know that as the game goes on, they're more likely to be presenting threats that we have to react to, and this Ragavan is going to be harder and harder to deploy and get an advantage from. Not only that, but I don't really agree with keeping the preordain. I'm pretty happy just having Fawn Pitch Iteration if they have a hammer line, but I'd rather shuffle my deck and probably look for a second land. And also getting Ragavan in play is I don't even think I would bobble myself because I think I'm always playing Ragavan in that spot where they go turn one Ginger Brute. It kind of I think it tells us they don't have Esper Sentinel, so we can think about what their hand is. It's not Esper Sentinel. Um, I'd be surprised if they played Giver first also. If they didn't play Giver first, but I mean maybe they didn't play Giver first for some reason. They did just play it. So they probably have a 2 drop. Um, they could have Aid, but I think normally you'd play Aid before Ginger Brute. Um, just because like if you had Aid Hammer Ginger Brute, you might want to do that. They could have Paladin. Paladin would make sense, and Stoneforge Mystic would make sense. But I guess my point is getting Ragavan down seems pretty important here to try to get an advantage. And then they attack with Ginger Brute. You say I don't know why I took one, but I think you are supposed to take one in this spot. Um, you don't really want to just kill the Ginger Brute for no reason because it's not actually a very good creature. I guess it does trade with Ragavan, so maybe we would have been in a spot where we had to trade our Ragavan with one of their creatures, which is fine, though we might be missing land drops. But the Ginger Brute is not very threatening on its own. You're more focused on stopping them from assembling their combo of putting a hammer on the creature. So when they play hammer there, what they're telling you is they obviously do not have Sigarda's aid, but not only do they not have Sigarda's aid, I think they're extremely likely to have Pure Steel Paladin. So, given that information, now we're more incentivized to kill the Ginger Brute. Why? Because it's an artifact. They only have 2 cards left in hand. Killing their artifact, now they only have one artifact. The Paladin is going to be really hard for them to deploy and get any value from because they need 2 more artifacts to have Metalcraft and be able to use it. So that's really good to notice in this spot. When they play the hammer, usually it means Paladin. The other card I think is that Forge Anew card, um, which is a 3 mana enchantment that lets you move your equipment around for 0 mana. We have Force Negation, so we're not very afraid of that. You could also just Force Negation the hammer here, which I don't think is horrible. It lets you play a little bit less afraid of a Pure Steel Paladin um, and the Forge Anew. Sometimes it's nice to be able to play a little bit more boldly against them, and so proactively disrupting them could be good. I'm not sure that's the correct play though, because I think this hand is pretty well situated to deal with what's going on. So bolting the Ginger Brute's fine. I really wish we had played Ragavan last turn because then we could probably trade our Ragavan with a Giver of Runes or Ginger Brute and then bolt the other one to keep their board clear. But now we have to figure out because if we don't draw a land, which we didn't, now it's like, do we play Ragavan or do we have to preordain for a land? Um, I think the answer is we probably have to try to preordain and find a land. Because even if we miss on the land, I'm not sure we get super punished here. Um, they can like play Paladin, but it doesn't do anything, like we said, because we killed the Ginger Brute. And then we're getting 3 cards deeper towards a land,
so
which we
here,
need to hit our second land
right,
eventually to win this
and
game.
here is where I want to focus because as you saw, I played Protein to find the second land. I only have 17 lands in the deck. And the first one was a fetch. I have only 15. Of these 15, I had six um, monosaurs and another five feds. So it's a total of 11 lands that I can take to find the red source and
Right.
keep continue to removing his creatures. So as I didn't find the land here, I lost the game. Okay, I'm going to play it again so you can see the sequence why I lost. But I guess that I lost because I didn't continue with my
Oh wow,
plan
so
of
they had
removing
Stoneforge and
because
now they have
I
Giver to
wanted to
protect
take the
Stoneforge
second
and we
lane.
lose.
And
Yep.
99% of the situation is going to be the
S-
correct play, maybe to find the second red
Yeah,
source.
I did not think
M-
of that either.
Mostly if it's a,
So what happened here, and I didn't think of this either, but the way they punish us going preordain and then missing is if we preordain and miss, they can potentially have Stoneforge and then get Cauldron Compleat and do that. So my guess is they must have kept like Gingerbrute, Hammer, Paladin, Stoneforge, Gingerbrute, Hammer, Paladin, Stoneforge, and two lands, and they drew the Giver on turn two, played the Giver to try to protect their Stoneforge. So in that case, I think maybe we could just kill the Giver first. And again, if we had just played the Ragavan turn one, this whole game would have been different, right? This whole game would have been different because we would have either had the extra treasures from Ragavan or we would have traded with one of their creatures, either of which would have been very favorable for us, and we would have been able to pretty easily win this game, I think. Um, but because we did not play the Ragavan turn one, things really got out of control. So when you said executing a plan of killing their creatures, I think you actually had the wrong plan in mind because another part of that plan is pressuring Hammer, and we talk about this in the Hammer deep dive that we have on the Patreon, which is just a deep dive into how to beat Hammer Time. And pressure is very important. And Ragavan is either pressure or it's mana because we are mana screwed. And so either one of those options is just really good. Or it's a removal spell, right? But you have to use it early. So I think that this is kind of where things went wrong. I wouldn't have kept the Preordain either. I think I would have probably just bobbled them because having info against Hammer can actually be very valuable. It's one of the decks where the information is more valuable because there's often a lot of tension going on in the game. And then I would play Ragavan if they try to leave back both their creatures. Then we can attack. I think we probably attack, though we don't have to attack. Notably, we could just bolt their Giver of Runes and pass back. Um, and maybe we could even force a negation the Colossus Hammer that they played, and then just try to like kill their other guy, and then start attacking with the Ragavan. Lots of options, but not playing the Ragavan was very costly. Yeah, preordaining. I still think preordaining was pretty reasonable because if the top four cards didn't have a land, we could be in a lot of trouble anyways. Um, but maybe I am wrong about that because yeah, the Stoneforge was super punishing. All right, let's see the rest of this
against
video.
hammer time and you have more than one removal in hand. But anyway, I think we could win this game if we kept open of steam bands and draw natural with my turn draw, not with the Prodain. Maybe the situation here would be that I play too slow and he can take many resources and menaces, so I cannot fight against all of them. But I think I lost the game because of Prodain. But maybe it was the right choice here to try to find the second land and think in a mid game plan more than just remove all the creatures at the beginning and then have no plan. Don't know. This is why I record this video because I think it's interesting this decision. So Thanks for watching. Sorry for my English again, and have a nice day. Bye.
All right, thank you for submitting that, and I thought your English was perfectly fine, so nice job. Don't apologize for that, and I hope that this VOD review was helpful for you. I guess just to summarize, the key thing was identifying that the best time. Sometimes it's important when you have two close choices to try to maximize each of the cards in your hand, and identifying that Ragavan has very high upside early, but becomes a lot worse in the mid to late game against Hammer, which was, impressive that you quickly identified that and took note of that. So I think that's kind of where the decision changes. And I know you wanted to hit your second land with Bobble, Bobble yourself, but I think that you should just play Ragavan and Bobble them for the information there. My guess is you would have seen Give Riverins on top. But yeah, thank you for submitting this, and I'll see you guys in the next VOD review. Bye.